Now, there was once a time where I wouldn't think much about flying from Champaign to Dallas, but times are changing, and these days there's something special about this route that's making me appreciate today's flight a whole lot more. So I'm back at Willard Airport this afternoon, as today I'm flying out to Los Angeles. We don't have non-stop service to LA, unfortunately, so the first segment of this journey is going to take me down to Dallas-Fort Worth with American Eagle on their Embraer 145 aircraft. Now, at its peak, American's hub in DFW saw, I want to say, over 100 daily flights to over 50 or so cities operated by Embraer 145 aircraft. As of today, January 13th, 2023, that number is down to just 2 flights a day from DFW on the Embraer 145, serving just one city. And that city is none other than right here, my hometown of Champaign, Illinois. So it goes without saying that today's journey to DFW is going to be pretty special, more so than the previous times I've taken this flight. So with that being said, let's get the video started. I hope you enjoy. This afternoon, I arrived at the airport an hour before my flight, which is still more than enough time when flying from here. I had already checked in online, so therefore headed straight upstairs to clear TSA. Unfortunately, the escalators here have been out of service for quite some time now, and I'm not sure when they'll get repaired, but hopefully sometime soon. The terminal here in Champaign is the exact same as always. However, that will soon be changing with the airport's upcoming renovation and expansion project. For now though, the landside waiting area still features an abundance of seats, 2 vending machines, and a monitor that shows the arriving and departing flights. After clearing TSA in under 2 minutes, here we are in the rather busy airside portion of the terminal. Willard Airport has consistently been achieving high load factors on both passenger routes, and new destinations like Washington, D.C. will hopefully be added soon. The airport's only retail option, Einstein Brothers Bagels, is still closed indefinitely, so free coffee is offered as a substitute. Aside from this, the other refreshment options airside are water fountains and 3 vending machines. So you're probably wondering what exactly is going on with the American Embraer 145 fleet, and why is Champaign, of all destinations, the last city served by this aircraft from DFW? Well, to answer the first question, the 145 is gradually being phased out in favor of more higher capacity and fuel-efficient aircraft like the Embraer 175. A matter of fact, here in Champaign, our flights to DFW, they were actually operated by 175s for the past 2 months. They recently changed it back to the 145 earlier this week, and it's going to stay this way through May 4th. So as it stands right now, Champaign will be the last city ever served by the Embraer 145 in American Airlines history. Also, I'm not sure if anyone noticed by now, but the airport logo literally has an Embraer 145 in it. And that's actually such an underappreciated detail, especially considering how significant that aircraft is to this airport. You're probably also wondering though, why is Champaign the last city of all places? Well, Champaign has a maintenance facility for Envoy Air, which is one of 2 regional carriers operating the 145 for American Eagle, the other airline of course being Piedmont Airlines. Envoy recently shifted all of their 145 operations to Chicago, which is also served by American Airlines from Champaign. It's also where that the 145 here right now, it's actually going to Chicago. So how Envoy and American are doing things these days are that they'll fly a 145 into Champaign the night before from Chicago. That plane is going to spend the night in the maintenance hangar getting cleaned, or any random maintenance checks, it'll get those done during the night. The next morning, that aircraft that came from Chicago, it's going to fly to Dallas. From Dallas, it's going to come back to Champaign. And then again, from Champaign, it's going to go back to Dallas. And then from Dallas, once again, come back to Champaign that night. It's going to, again, go back to the hangar, spend the night in the maintenance hangar here in Champaign, getting cleaned, maintenance work, all that stuff. And then the next morning, it's either going to go back to Chicago and then resume other flights and services from Chicago, or it's going to do the exact same thing all over again. It's going to do 2 round trips to Dallas before eventually going back to Chicago. It's about 30 degrees Fahrenheit or -1 degrees Celsius outside, so naturally aircraft need to get de-iced prior to departure. What you see being used here is Type 1 de-icing fluid. This is typically around 130 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, or 55 to 80 Celsius, and sprayed at high pressure to remove any traces of snow and ice on the aircraft. The Embraer 145 features 50 seats, all of which are economy class. Today I'm seated in 6A, which, like all seats, comes with a large tray table and seat pocket, both of which were noticeably stained from previous flights. Inside the pocket is an air sickness bag, information pamphlet, and safety card. The legroom is pretty average, and so it definitely helps to not have a large bag in front of you. Finally, the passenger service units overhead are where you'll find the individual reading lights, air vents, and call buttons.
Electronic devices such as cell phones, tablets, and smartwatches may be used, but must be placed in your plane. But we appreciate your cooperation.
This airplane has 2 exit doors in the front and 2 window exits over the wings. All exits are clearly marked with signs and opening instructions. If needed, escape path lighting in the aisle will illuminate near the floor to guide you to an exit indicated by signs and lights.
Refreshment service began shortly after reaching cruise altitude, and so here's a look at the tray table. Despite being a little wobbly, it was nice to see the surface was clean, unlike the other side. For refreshments, I chose to have Coke as my drink and Biscoff cookies as the snack, which were good as usual. Until the CRJ-200 comes back in April, the Embraer 145 is the only aircraft in the entire American fleet to not feature amenities like Wi-Fi, power outlets, or any form of entertainment. I never found out why though, because aircraft that operate similar length flights, like the CRJ-700 for example, do in fact have Wi-Fi and power outlets. There wasn't much to see on this flight as, unfortunately, remnants from the de-icing fluid covered the windows for most of the time. But overall, this flight was very smooth on a beautiful day to fly. I decided to do something that I haven't really done in the past when flying the 145, and that was check out the lavatory. The 145 only has one of these, and it's all the way in the back of the plane. It has all the basics you need in a bathroom, but for some reason the tap wasn't working today. Also, as expected, the ceiling is pretty low. The 145 is also American's only aircraft with a unique 1-2 layout, something that the CRJs and bigger Embraer jets don't offer in economy class. This is something I've always loved about this plane and one I'll surely miss when these are gone for good in a few years. I will admit though, getting into the single seat at first always feels really tight, but when you're fully seated, it's not too bad. The rest of the flight was spent reading and editing this video, and in absolutely no time at all, Lavon Lake appeared out the window, which signaled our descent into DFW. I don't know what it was exactly, but today's flight definitely went by much faster than previous times I've taken this route. Today's approach brought us past the airport on downwind, flying past Love Field and downtown Dallas. We then made a 180 over Cedar Hill before landing on runway 35 center.
And it's our pleasure to welcome you to Dallas-Fort Worth, where our local time is 5:16 p.m.
I paid $274 for this flight as part of a one-way itinerary from Champaign to Los Angeles via Dallas. This was by far the best flight I've ever had on the American 145. The flight attendant, Mr. Randy, was super friendly and welcoming. In fact, while deplaning, I had a nice conversation with him about the Embraer 145. Overall, I have no major complaints regarding today's flight. The 145, for what it serves, is a truly capable aircraft and one that is always fun to fly on. Today we arrived at Terminal B, which I found pretty surprising as usually the Champaign flights would almost always use the Terminal East satellite concourse. These days, however, it seems that the two daily 145 flights are mainly using Terminal B. As DFW is no longer a 145 base, our aircraft would return to Champaign before eventually making its way back to Chicago the following morning. Alright, so back in DFW. This is my 7th straight year coming to Dallas, and I'm planning to come back later this summer to Dallas for a few days actually. So I'm here. I was supposed to be here for an hour for my next flight to LA. I've been delayed for 3 hours. So my connection is, I'll have some more time to relax and get some food and walk around DFW. So you can see Terminal B extension behind me there, and my plane is hidden behind the terminal that I just caught off of. But it's crazy to think that, you know, at one point there were over 100 Embraer 145 flights a day from this airport, and now we're just down to 2 a day, and they only go to Champaign, my home city. Oh, look, is that an MD-11? Ooh, that's crazy. That's a nice photo bomb right there with the UPS MD-11. But thank you for watching. Really sentimental flight this was. I grew up with the Embraer 145 in Champaign. I've been taking probably 15, 20 flights on that, and I'll try to get more on it, obviously, because they're going to be shifting them all to Chicago, and then Piedmont will be operating them from Philadelphia and Charlotte. So I'll definitely get some more flights on the 145 before they retire them for good. By 2025, I think, is what they're saying. They'll get rid of them completely. So it's got about 2 years left in the fleet. Maybe it'll be extended a little bit more. Maybe they'll get rid of it earlier. But from Dallas, it's going to be gone by May 4th, because the last flight from Champaign on the E145 to DFW is May 4th. From then on, it's going to be on the Embraer 175. So, but yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Give it a big thumbs up if you did. Stay tuned for next week. Hopefully, I'll try to get the my connecting flight video out. It's going to be on the 777 to LAX, so it'll be an exciting one. Stay tuned for it, and let me know what you thought of the video, what else you want to see on the channel. I'll try to do my best as I progress through college as well. So thanks again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.